recording.
You gotta photograph me though.
I'm gonna. I was panning the audience.
Okay. Today in our society, 40% of adult Americans have admitted on public record that they are criminals on the federal level, including the current president and the past two presidents. Does anybody know why?
Is it marijuana?
It is. It is marijuana. 40% of adult Americans admit to breaking federal laws by smoking marijuana sometimes in their life. Of that 40%, we estimate that about 28% use marijuana at least once a year, sometimes on a much larger basis. Unfortunately, people caught smoking marijuana are treated as federal criminals and go to prison, sometimes on the state level, sometimes on the local level. But it's a terrible thing, and I'm here to try and convince you that we should change our drug policy.
You don't need to convince me.
The reason that I take such a good stance in this is because I am a very liberty-based person, and I'm a very anti-police state, both of which go hand in hand with our current marijuana policy. Of the people in my class that I surveyed, 9 people bothered to respond, and 4 people said that marijuana should remain illegal because it's a dangerous drug. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the case, that alcohol is legal, and it is actually more dependent. More people become dependent on alcohol, and alcohol can actually damage you. I had one person tell me that he was hospitalized. He almost died because of cirrhosis of his liver because he had become dependent on alcohol. And he told me that he never had that sort of problem when he was experimenting with marijuana. The FDA itself, the Food and Drug Administration, has found 17 different legal drugs, all of which you can overdose on, but they have never once found, in the course of this 8-year study at least, somebody who has overdosed from smoking too much marijuana. And so the whole argument that weed is a dangerous drug, that it shouldn't be legalized on grounds like that, immoral grounds, that just doesn't make a lot of sense in our modern society. Moving along, of the 9 people I surveyed, 5 people agreed that it should be legal, and that 3 people outright said they didn't. A couple of people abstained. But yes, in 2 states currently, Colorado and Washington, earlier this year, recreational use was legalized, which just means that anybody found carrying marijuana, rather than being sent to prison, becoming a burden of the state, they're given a fine. And then, just like a parking ticket, sign your name, write a check, done and done. Doesn't show up on your background check, doesn't treat you as a criminal or a second-class citizen for the rest of your life. Portugal, 10 years ago in 1992, they legalized all drugs, marijuana as well as the harder ones, cocaine, crack, ecstasy, and they started treating them with a citation system. And over the last 10 years, perhaps the most conclusive proof for legalizing weed is that Portugal's drug use has completely almost diminished. It's still there, but rather than treat it and punish people for this crime, they use all the money that would go towards incarcerating them to treat them as though they have a disease, and it's working very well. Lastly, the biggest point that I want to talk about is the police state that the war on marijuana has cost in America. $51 billion each and every year is used in the war on drugs. NASA, just as a borderline, gets $16 billion, almost 3 times less than what the war on drugs is getting. And perhaps what's most startling about this is 87% of all the arrests with that $51 billion are for minor possession charges of marijuana. And as I've said earlier, marijuana is not as dangerous as the stigmatism puts it out to be. Portugal, legalization for harder drugs has worked. And so legalizing one that isn't so harmful should do wonders for our system. And perhaps the best part of all of this, rather than creating more burdens of the state, the people who are caught with marijuana actually contribute to the public budget, which is a fantastic, much, much better outcome for all parties involved. If you support alcohol, if you support popular opinion, if you support the professional opinion of countless professional doctors, then you also support recreational usage laws. That's about it. I hope you learned something.